introduction. And hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's not that early. It's already 7 o'clock. And if there's one thing I can show you is that this house is fully up and awake. And the only caveat I would say before getting started is you may hear my young daughter either super excited about going to kindergarten today or super not excited. Either way, I'm sure there will be interruptions, background interruptions, we shall call them. But these are COVID times, and this is how we run sessions these days. What we have for you today is quite a packed agenda. We've divided the conversation into 4, hopefully 5 if time allows or permits, sessions. We try to keep things a bit more interesting. There's going to be a lot of transitions between slides and live demo with the purpose of showing you some of the things that institutions and us have been working on in the last 12 months. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to use the Q&A or chat box. And Amanda, I'm hoping you will probably monitor those and interrupt me as they come. I'll also leave specific times during the session, obviously, for things like that. Now, let me see. I've got the share content button disabled. I don't know if that's that may be an issue. Amanda, can you maybe?
Yes, I will. Yep.
Thank you. So once I'll be able to share, as mentioned, the goal is to sort of frame the conversation a bit with a couple of slides. Wonderful, thank you. And then hand, to a bit more of a live demonstration of where we are. Okay, great. Hoping you can see my screen, and I'll just minimize a few things here and there. Perfect. So really the goal behind what we're talking about and what we've been working on the last, many years, but even to a greater extent in 2020 and Q1 2021 is how do we simplify student lives in this new normal, online, remote, hybrid world with a personalized, hyper-connected mobile app and web portal, and we'll talk about each one of these terms more specifically. For our agenda today, as I mentioned, there are 4 different areas which I'm hoping we'll be able to cover. And if not, by the way, of course, the slides and the recordings will be shared with you so we can have further conversations offline. But the first one is how do we enable a safe return to campus? And I'll start with that, and we'll take you to a personalized, hyper-connected, and student engagement topics later on. So really returning to campus with campusM. That is a theme we've been working on in the last 12 months. And as we worked with institutions to understand how do we ensure a safe return to campus, we wanted to make sure that ultimately your policies, your guidelines are being read, or being met, or being provided and delivered to your patrons or to your users. So you get to decide, obviously, all the things that are presented, shown, and used within the app. And obviously, we provide a platform to do that. We looked at the different components, and this is in consultation and obviously working with our partner institutions in Australia, New Zealand, but also around the world, of course. And we've noticed 6 main components of that safe return. One is the constant update of information, which is something that can be easily done through the web and through the mobile app. So making sure students are informed whether it's the certain category which campus is on, whether you're coming back, how, the regulations, and just basic information students will need to know, whether they're coming to study in person, hopefully sometime in the next term, or whether they're even studying online or from abroad. The second one was push notifications to communicate key messages, which has become more and more prominent over the year, and we've seen definitely an increase in the use of those mechanisms. And that is not to communicate just day-to-day things, but for example, one of our customers used the push notification to let the students know when there's a new update from the dean, vice chancellor, etc. So making sure that students are informed not just by them actively doing something, but also the institution being proactive and sending the information. Providing the general information that's needed, contact us information, social media, so really getting all the information in one place, different checklists, and obviously one of the things we've developed in last period was contact tracing to make sure you were able to meet regulations and are able to actually facilitate that return to campus. And the last one was more about the feedback and quick polls and making sure you have the latest sort of temperature, but also allowing daily health check if needed. And that's something we've worked with several institutions, actually in the US more. And I just mentioned it, one of the things that we now support and we're seeing use of it, as I mentioned, mostly in the US, but a couple of sites in the UK have started using it as well, is the use of quick polls, the ability to send on a daily basis a notification asking if the students are experiencing any symptoms. And if they are, obviously, based on that, you can target different information, ensuring they're not coming to campus, knowing where they can find the relevant help. And if they're not having any symptoms or if they've been, vaccinated, etc., then you can present the relevant information, maybe even including a green pass or different type of sort of permissions that will allow them to actually come on site. So that's just one example. I thought it would be useful actually to go and show a demonstration of some of these things and how they look in the app itself. I'm using a tool that's called Reflector, not an Libris tool. And what it allows me actually is just to reflect my phone. So you're able to see the app as I use it. And okay, that should work. And you should be able, yep, here we go. Wonderful. So now what you're seeing is my phone. I'm just going to minimize everything else so the phone is actually a bit more visible. I'm looking at the application we have, and this is campusM in a nutshell. I'll talk more about the personalization profiles and other elements in a later stage. But when we talk specifically about a safe return to campus, there are a few things that are worth noting. One, for example, you can see that the user is able to see all the different services, also including links to Teams and Zoom. So they're actually able to get, from campusM to the system, which you obviously conduct your video conferencing. They're also able to check their class schedule in one place. And in the class schedule, you can also embed already the Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, or other video conferencing service you use. So within campusM, they can see, okay, I've got a, this kind of session, and already in here, you're able to embed the video conferencing link. There are a few other things which are useful, as I mentioned, contact tracing being one of them. You can see it's, I'm just going to use my mouse. You can see right here, this little tile. It's a very simple process, but what it does is it allows you to place either barcodes or location codes. And whenever a student, staff, faculty, or anyone on campus enters a certain building, all they need to do is just scan a barcode. I've created a barcode here, and I'm just gonna show you how it works. It captures the location, and you can see I'm in the, well, I don't know what the George football stadium is, but I can see, and I can just scan another one. And you can see that as well. And really the goal behind these quick polls, oh, not quick polls, behind the contact tracing is to ensure that when students are actually accessing certain places, you can see also in terms of their history, they can search places, they can find them, they can cancel if they're saying, I actually didn't go in. But this allows you also to later export the data and then do additional analysis if you need to track specific individuals and their whereabouts in certain times. So again, just some of the regulations that we find in certain countries or certain regions, but sometimes it's even a local regulation. We even had an institution actually print out these location codes per specific room and per specific seat. So they're actually tracking the location a bit more specifically. The other element which is useful to use when returning to campus is quick polls. And quick polls is really a nice way to create a, one-off question. It can be multiple answers. It can be a single response. It can be an open text. You can see when I click on history, I'm able to actually see all the different polls which I've responded, and they could be used for many options. They could be used even for things like well-being, looking specifically at this example. You can see compared to my peers, how am I feeling? And then if you want, you can also enable for the user to actually see the results. But even things like, are you experiencing one or more of the following symptoms? And what's useful about the quick polls, as I mentioned, is the fact that when a student or any user replies, you can actually assign them with a certain role. We'll talk about roles in personalization, but this enables you to present different information right here on their homepage. So if they've answered yes, you may want to have a banner at the top that says, this is the information you need to know when experiencing, COVID-like symptoms. Something you will present to only those that have answered yes. If someone answered no, you may present them, here is your, here's the process for obtaining a one-day pass to campus, or here is the pass itself, with the barcode in place. So all these things are obviously available. And in addition, one of the things I just wanted to show before going back was just these, to-do lists or different lists which can be used. So in this case, we have more of an orientation list, but these lists are dynamic. All the values, whether they're a, checklist, you can mark things for favorite, etc. And the benefit of these is you can have as many as you want. You can have, one tile with before coming to campus, so they can make sure they've done all the right processes to actually return to campus. You can do a list which is just, list of relevant information you can find online regarding COVID. So they can be really dynamic. Each one of them can be a tile on its own, but they can also be grouped under many tiles. And obviously you can see here, in addition, you can have different guides, links, and information. So really the idea is that through this, environment, we're actually able to provide users and students with a one place where they can find all the information when it comes to return to campus. And I'll also talk about push notification in the future, but of course you can see here that things like going back to campus, yes, no, what do you think? All these things can be sent as push notification. So the user is actually proactively asked to be engaged with, relevant information which you share. Okay, with that being said, let me turn this back off and I'll return to the presentation. Before we proceed to the additional topic, any questions from the audience, Amanda?
Not as yet, Ido. I'm keeping
Okay.
an eye on the chat though on Q&A, so I'll let you know.
Wonderful, thanks.
Thanks.
So really, in order to summarize the safe return to campus, as I mentioned, the 6 elements, among them information, contact tracing, quick polls, downloadable resources, and ensuring really students and faculty staff are up to date and are always getting relevant information, and it's contextualized to the status on campus. What I'd like to talk about now is how we actually delivered what we call an unparalleled personalized experience. And the key part about a mobile app, and I think we can all agree this device, is that it's personal. It stays with you, it's yours only. Well, sometimes you share it maybe with your kids, but other than that, it's something which you expect to get personalized information which is relevant and contextualized to you. And in campusM, that's one of the things we put focused. It's one of the areas where we're getting a lot of requirements and are always happy to extend the support. And if you look at the overall application, it's, you have an application for the university, the application itself, and we'll see it can be divided into multiple profiles. So staff, students, alumni, prospective students, guests, visit days or welcome week. You can decide how to sort of segment the audience. In each one of these audiences, you also have the ability to automatically, behind the scenes, pull information on the different users. And again, those are roles. So a user can be a first-year user, they can live on campus, they can be international, in the housing, they can be graduate, chemistry major, computer science major. Based on that, on those roles, and every user can have multiple roles, of course, you're able to present and showcase different different features and different services which will be available. And ultimately, each user also has the ability to personalize the experience. And this is, for example, one of the, one of the favorite features we have in terms of personalization is really the ability to personalize the homepage. And it ensures that users actually find and organize the information as they see fit. And the significant part is the when the user actually took the time to personalize the information, maybe move certain things to the top, hide other things. And as you can see, you also have the control to make sure certain information, maybe emergency info, etc., is actually can't be hidden.
Ido, whilst you're taking a quick breath, there is a question that's just popped up on the chat. Does the polling functionality integrate automatically with any out-of-the-box commercial polling software, for example, Poll Everywhere or Qualtrics, or do you have to create the polls within campusM directly?
So both options are available. We have the option to integrate with Polls Anywhere, Qualtrics, and other solutions, as well as, for example, SurveyMonkey, which can be inserted. So we can integrate. The quick polls, which I've shown you, is fully encapsulated within campusM. So it doesn't require any additional software, but both options are available. We find that institutions typically use the campusM quick polls because it is integrated in terms of the push notification. Everything's in one place. It's the same user experience and interface as they're familiar from other areas within the app. But the ability to integrate with other solutions is readily available. Okay, going back to personalization, again, I just want to, we sort of do this hop between the presentation and the demo, and I'm hoping that's okay with you. But I want to share a few things, and then I'll actually go also on the administrative interface, because a lot of the personalization is something which not only done, by the user, but actually created by the institution, created by you as you manage and administer campusM. Okay. Maybe to start off, just to show a few things. When first time you log into campusM, you can see you'll have the ability, or the user will have the option to select from the profiles. The profiles are created by you, so every university or every institution will have a different set of profiles. Some may have for students, other for future students, other, alumni. Some may have for staff, combine it with students, etc. Each one of these profiles is really a distinct experience. The user interface is different. The services, the tiles, everything you basically see can be completely different. And it comes with the notion that, students are interested in the class schedule, alumni and prospective students are not. Donation days and donation information or, alumni connections are relevant to alumni, less for prospective students. Visit days and hours and contact may be more relevant for prospective students, less for actual students. And also in here, the different tiles and the different services presented are based on the roles which were captured on, me as the user behind the scenes. So we integrate with your student information system, student record system, to actually pull different roles. Obviously everything's configured based on your permissions and, sort of will. But when available, this really allows us to segment and target. So if, international students may see different student guides from local students, housing as well. For example, you can see here I've got a laundry tile. So the laundry tile integrating with, I forgot the name, Circuit. In this case, something that's presented typically to students living in dormitory or housing, not students living at home. Just an example. And the one thing which I mentioned also in the presentation is this little arrange option. Clicking on it, you can see it looks more like your iPhone, or I don't know how Android operates, but you're able to actually remove things. For example, I'm not interested in the top banner and I need my student ID to be front and center at the top, as well as the institutions using Zoom. So let me just move this one all the way in the top. And I also like reading my emails first thing in the morning. And thanks, but no thanks about the good morning. So really I can organize and I can move things around as I want to remove, hide. Every time I can always reset. I can look at a list of things, and I think the laundry one is the only one you can see which is, unremovable. And then I can also search for different tiles or different services. What we found over time, the use is, there's a lot of things here in the app. So when an institution introduces a new service, they don't always introduce it as visible by default, but sometimes they actually make it hidden, send a push notification alerting, hey, there's a new service available to activate, just search for it in the arrange option and make use of it. Now, this is more on the user side. Quickly going into the administration option, this will be the campusM app manager, the administrator. It's a web-based interface. I probably ran out of something always happens in a live demo. I'm happy it's just this one. But I'm logging into my app manager, a web-based interface. All you need really from campusM's perspective is a web browser to manage. Also, you can see I can easily download App Center. Those are the more administrative sandbox, preview environment, etc. In here, I can do pretty much everything I want when it comes to managing the application. And when it comes to specifically user roles, I just wanted to show you behind the scene how it all operates. So the app builder is where I design and I build the application itself. It's called App Builder. And you can see here, I can also see the different profiles which are available, the different roles for this specific profile. And in each one of them, for example, we had the laundry. I think I probably skipped. Here we go. So for example, in the laundry, you can see here the different options. I can select which roles this will be applied. So yes, make it apply and also make it relevant for visitors. You never know what's going to happen. You can choose whether it's disabled on one specific, and you can also see if you want it hidden by default or mandatory. So really you're able, when it comes to these services, to decide who's actually seeing it, whether they're seeing it by default, whether it's disabled on a certain platform. Now, what's the idea behind the disabled for certain platform? Think about, for example, Uber Meet to Campus. I know we're, going back to campus seems, maybe I'm not sure at what stage you are, but I'm hoping soon. Uber Meet to Campus is obviously something you want to have on your phone, less on the web version, because if you're going into the web portal, it means you're probably on a desktop and this is or a laptop, and it's less relevant to click Uber Meet to Campus for multiple reasons. So this is the reason you can actually decide whether a certain feature is available for users. Now, every one of the things, even within campusM, even within the app, maps, location, content pages, information, can actually be sent. Even when we're talking about sending a push notification from our notification center, we're actually able to target that notification center and not send it to everyone, but rather send it to a specific group of users in a specific role. Same goes for quick polls. If I want to send a quick polls only to my international students, if I want to have, a certain map or campus position available, obviously, for students of that campus. So really the idea of personalizing the app is something that's core to campusM and is really visible in each one of the areas, and you get to control how it will operate. So going back into my slides, I don't know if there are any specific questions on personalization, and if not, I'll move on. Amanda?
No, there's nothing yet.
Great,
Peter.
thanks.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So really, the topic I want to talk about now is how do we create hyper-connected experiences? Now, hyper-connected experiences to me is what separates and will separate campusM from just using, any web portal or just links to different places. And the main part which where we invest our time, and you can find, and we'll talk about the integrations, how do we integrate different systems to create a consolidated experience for users? So you have campusM and the way it's built, whether it's the cloud, the platform itself, out-of-the-box features. But the thing we found to be useful the most is when students are actually able to find relevant information already on their homepage, on their dashboard, and it's coming from different places. So they're able to see assignments and phone conversations, grades, check-ins, emails that are waiting for them to read. In a single consistent user interface, the experience is the same. And from an institutional perspective, it also gives you the flexibility to decide, I'm moving from this LMS to that LMS, not or VLE, not that it's a day-to-day decision, but when you do that, users are still getting the same experience, at least on their app. So it does provide some flexibility behind the scenes to transition, ensuring that users always know where to access the data. Now, we've been working on integrations for many years, and in recent years, we've actually created what we call product integration library. It's a catalog of integrations that are available for configuration through the app manager, which you've just seen, whether it's directory search, account information, grades, class schedule, timetable, VLE integration, of course, library integration, which for us in Libris is probably the easiest one to create. But you can see everything here is structured and allows you to read the information, implement it on your own. During the implementation process, this is, of course, one area where we focus to make sure, again, we maximize the use. And we roll out and we develop new integrations as part of the monthly Agile release cycle. So every month you have one or two new products which are being integrated. Now, coming soon, and one of the things, this is where we started to talk about hyper-connected versus just connected. One of the things we've realized, and we've been working on for the past month, and hopefully we'll see it in production by end of year, is that you can still bring information from multiple systems, but the user is still sort of segmented into different areas. And while you're getting information from the VLE, the timetable, events, etc., why not actually combine those into a single sort of holistic view? So events and calendar are the easiest ones, and moving forward, you can see both the interface as well as the concepts behind it. Let's not just look at the information as it's coming from each system separately. Let's create a language, and let's create sort of an understanding of how we connect the different entities so we can transition between them. For example, in the My Calendar, the ability to look at an event, even schedule a reminder, but then also looking at the individual, Professor Holton in this case, looking at their profile, contacting them. So things which may be available from the directory are already included within the calendar, as well as the attendance component, which is available within campusM. So everything that the user is doing, information they read or need, should be connected, not just through the app, but also within the app. So the navigation can actually be, workflow or process navigation based, not just based on the system which the information is coming from. And the calendar is really where we started, and you can see here, how we can grab different elements of data, whether it's a class schedule, assignments, events that are in the VLE, events that are actually configured within campusM. But you can see alternatively, lecturers, senders of emails, people, which are coming from the directory as an example. So different components can be connected. So when I'm looking at a timetable event and I've got a lecturer, I'll actually be able to connect it to all other classes which they're teaching. I'll be able to already navigate to emails which I received from that sender, and also be able to view their information based on the directory. This is the vision which we had. We're starting with the calendar because it's so obvious and trivial in a way, but soon will, the whole concept of hyper-connected experience will take form within the application. But before we get there, obviously, each application, each integration stands on its own. And I wanted also to have a look at those. Before I actually go into the application itself, the nice part about the product integrations is that, they're available out of the box. They can be configured during implementation. They can be configured at a later point. But it's a very simple process. You can see here the list of integrations. For example, even for VLE, we support, at this stage, these 4 major vendors. For library, we support multiple. There are even things like generic LiveTile. I don't think I actually spoke about LiveTile, but I'll talk about it shortly. Directory search, contact tracing, account information, email, greeting, holds, ID card, which is becoming more and more one of the popular integrations of actually showing students their identification within the app. Let's show that in action, actually. I'll just refresh the screen sharing. Okay. So when we speak about integrations, we speak about 2 components, or maybe 3. One is a component of the LiveTile, and you can see LiveTile is what we refer to when information is being presented to the user already on the home page. It can be detailed information such as the class schedule, the chemistry of space, which has started 10 minutes ago. It can be the VLE information, which is a bit more prominent. It's a larger LiveTile, and every tile can be configured in terms of size based on your preferences. And it can just be a small badge, like the quick post we have here, the email, the library information. So really, this is one component of the integration, making sure that already on the dashboard, the user knows, oh, you know, that I've got two holds. Let's see what they are. And the second component of it would be actually showing that information within campusM. So in here, I can see I've got two holds, which are holding me probably from graduation or progression. In the class schedule, I can see my schedule. I can, click on specific information. I can email the professor. I can phone them as well. The location in here is not connected to my map, but in other cases, I can actually navigate to the theater. And as I mentioned, also an online link can be provided. In other cases, it's more about linking out. For example, if I click on Zoom, it takes me directly into Zoom. If I've got a meeting already there, Student ID is one of the integrations which I mentioned that's becoming more and more popular, and we can generate the barcode. You can provide that. We can also have a sort of a running timer, so you can see this is not a screenshot. And it's becoming very popular because we know that whenever students go, they probably have their phone with them, not necessarily sure that they'll have their student ID always at hand. So this is one thing which can be done. But really the integrations allow you both to bring the information into the homepage as well as create additional components within. And as mentioned, the next is really taking the class schedule, the component of class schedule and extending it to my calendar. So it's taking events from the timetable, it'll take events from the LMS, even from within we have a campusM events management element. So even within here, you can have different campus events, promote them, etc. And they'll all be linked and provided through a single sort of holistic or consolidated view. Now, when we speak of product integration, they can be configured through here, and as mentioned, there's full documentation which is readily available online. It's public, so you don't need any account or user account. You can view them. If you found other systems which you'd like to integrate, these can be done during the implementation or at any later stage. It's really something we do on a regular basis as part of our monthly release cycle. So always happy to get more requirements and needs and extend the list here. Now, I know we're sort of running out of time, and I did want to talk also about engagement.
Before you jump onto that, I just thought I'd let you know that there aren't any questions that you haven't actually answered already, Ido. So you're good to continue. Thanks.
Great, thank you. The last topic for today, and as I mentioned, we were hoping, webinars are not always the easiest, and I think you mentioned, Amanda, it's 2 o'clock, so probably after lunch. So we try to keep things a bit more interesting in terms of moving from one area to the other, and I hope you were able to follow. What I want to talk about now is how do we enhance student engagement? And this is something which we're working constantly on with our community members, because we know the engagement is much more challenging when everyone's remote or when it's a hybrid mode. How do we also make sure students can connect to one another, something which we're working on. But ultimately, when we look at campusM, we think of it as the Amazon Alexa for academic and social services in the university or in the institution. How do we make sure we deliver real-time information services, and how do we make sure we do it quickly? Show me my assignments, where is my next class, book a study room. That is one component of student engagement, and that is a critical one of getting that information and getting those services to them and quickly. But the push notification, as I mentioned, is becoming more and more prominent. You could use push notification from within the app manager. You can also integrate campusM. So whenever you send an email, you can BCC campusM and it will translate it to a push notification, something which is extremely useful because we know emails have a lower open and read rate than mobile push notification. And the third option is, of course, using an API if you want to do it in a, sort of behind the scenes technology and technical manner. But we've noticed push notification actually, as I said, skyrocket in the last year, with institutions using it in very creative ways. One way can be, just regular updates when things change in terms of COVID. Another way can be even just a weekly um, push notification about things which happen, activities which are coming up. And obviously, when integrated with the VLE, sending push notifications on class changes, activities, etc. But we've seen really an uptake in this mechanism. The other thing which I haven't really, showed yet is the campusM Creative Studio, and that is a very lightweight content management component built in. So we have the ability to integrate with your content management systems, but sometimes what you really need is just quick, simple, easy to deploy information that you can go and update. And you can do that within campusM. It's a no-code environment. It can be fully customized. You could use the templates which are available. And it's just a great way of ensuring that users and students, staff, and others have all the information they need, and they have it readily available within the app. And I'll actually go and show the the Creative Studio in here. But before that, let's send a push notification just for fun, because it's always nice. And I want to show you how easy it is. So I can select a group. In this case, I want to send it to everyone. And I can say, campus is expected to open next month. Stay tuned. And in here, I can write any message I want. I can embed, HTML links, and we're happy to announce that campus is coming back. More details can be found here. And the nice part is in here, you can actually link to an external page, but you can also link to a page that's available within campusM. So it's not only a link that's sending the user out to a web page, but you can actually send it to something which is like a contact us page or latest info. I don't know if I have any of these. If I don't, or you can obviously just always myuni.ed/latest COVID. And you can just send it to that one. And you can send other information, but unless yep.
Sorry, we've got another question, another two questions actually. Who is typically responsible in a university for the ongoing day-to-day configuration, maintenance, updates to campusM?
Sure. So
the first question.
So yep, it's I'll answer that one, and then we can take the next one. So typically it's a combination. You have information technology IT, which may be more responsible in terms of the management of the integrations and how data comes from source systems into campusM. But ultimately, student affairs will play a role when it comes to the communications and sort of making the decisions. And marketing communications tend to be involved when it comes to the brand, the look and feel, information pages, and other resources. So it's a distributed environment. And I probably won't be able to discuss it today, but with users and permission, you actually have the ability to ensure that certain groups have ability to access different components. So, for example, you have an alumni profile. That profile on its own can be managed by the alumni group within the university. But when you come to the student experience, IT will tend to manage the product integrations, the more technical elements, and then student affairs and marketing will be in charge for content and ongoing activities.
Thanks. And the next one is, where is the data hosted and stored?
Sure. So worth noting that integration data is pulled in real time. So the VLE, Outlook, or Gmail, or email and other integrations is not stored within campusM. It's just what we call a walkthrough. But information such as content pages, push notifications being sent, and functionality which is available, such as attendance, quick polls, is stored in our data center. The data center is in Singapore. We're actually in the process of establishing one in Australia as well, but it's in our APAC data center in Singapore. And when it comes to the data center, it's always important to talk about security, compliance, privacy. So I welcome everyone to go to trust.exlibrisgroup.com, where you can find all about the data center, the availability, compliance, privacy, and security policies, as well as we obviously have, information which shows what data is stored and how it's being protected, encrypted, etc. We host more than 7,000 academic institutions on our, global data centers around the world.
And that's all the questions for now.
Great. Let's send the push notification. You can see I can choose, I can have it expire, and I can also choose, this message is only relevant for users until the end of the month. And in a matter of, okay, I can go back into my return. I can see it's sent only to, well, I've got 347 people on my app. But what I can do later is I can basically engage with those users that have not read the, or have not opened the push notification. Oh, maybe just to show. So I can actually decide, I'm interested in sending a re-notification, and you don't have to, again, target everyone. If someone has already read the push notification and already, saw the information, there's really no need to, I wouldn't call it bother them, but trouble them again with the same notification. And you can see already instantly I got the notification. I can swipe it, and it'll take me into the notification area within campusM. And from here, by the way, as I mentioned, I can link to different places within the app or outside. So push notification, again, quite a powerful thing. Quick polls being another one, but we probably won't have time to actually show the workflow. But again, everything managed from within campusM. So maybe just to wrap up, with a 2-minute or 5-minute overview of campusM, and I'll skip a few of the slides in here, but I think what we really want to provide is, that consolidated experience that students are looking for, with all systems aggregated in one place, one-stop shop experience, making sure it's personalized, it's engaging. Obviously, it's hyper integrated, hyper connected. I think the integration component cannot be underestimated, but it's also relevant and contextualized. So users actually see what they need, and they see it, when needed, not just relevant, this is what the university is about, and this is general information. I won't go into each one of them, but I think you, even within the last 45 minutes, you saw a focus on the user experience. It's high, and this is really what we want to do, is making sure that they can use, and I haven't shown the web portal, but everything you saw on the app is replicated and available on web. The access, the personalization, the contextualization, cannot stress those enough. And one of the important things, and obviously our cloud infrastructure, ensuring your uptime, that the app is always readily available. In fact, one of the things we've heard for many cases was sometimes there is an event on campus and there is an outage, for example, local servers and infrastructure hosted locally. The fact they can send a push notification letting everyone know, hey, Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard are down. We'll keep you updated. They can do it within campusM because those are not related to any on-premise installed hardware. We use an agile release cycle, so every month you receive release notes. This month were actually sent yesterday, and we're always open for ideas and collaborating with our community. I think that's how we make sure the solution stays relevant. It's the community continues to grow. I think more specifically in Australia and New Zealand, some of the institutions that have used it, great adoption in terms of numbers. When you actually look at the number, the traffic generated, the number of users, we aim to have something between 85 to 88% in terms of the adoption. And obviously, we help you also monitor the number of sessions per users, so you can see, again, the traffic that's being generated on the web and on the app. Libris in general is quite a large company. If you're not familiar with it, we work with thousands of institutions globally. One of the things we pride ourselves the most is openness. So we have many portals and many platforms online readily available, whether it is the Knowledge Center, which you can find training information, article, product documentation, release notes. Everything we know about campusM is publicly available, so you can review it. The Trust Center, which we've just had a glimpse of. And my favorite is the Idea Exchange, because that really allows us to get ideas from the community, get adoption, and see how well they fare among different ideas from others, and based on that have product review and actually see them go into the product itself. That notion of collaborative roadmap development and working with you again on the build of the solution. That's it. This is my last slide. I hope I was able to share with you 4 different elements of campusM, with it the return to campus, the personalization, the hyper-connected experience, and the student engagement. There are many other facets to it. I hope you were able also to see how the different components ultimately come to play in part of a one single student experience platform. And we'll be happy to engage with you, your colleagues, and others in specific or dedicated sessions to see how we can work together to stand in hands and simplify your students' lives. Thank you. Amanda?
Thanks so much. Our colleagues on the line of value, which I'm sure that they would have. To Ido, I know I learnt a lot. I would just like to say thank you again for joining for the session this afternoon. I know after lunch is never a great time for scheduling these things, but better than Friday afternoon. So there you have it. So again, thank you so much. We will distribute the recording later today or tomorrow, depending on when it's finished being tabulated in the back end, and we'll distribute it. And if any questions that come up between now and then, please don't hesitate to drop me a line, and we'll be sure to get that answered for you. So thanks again for joining, and thanks Ido. Thanks all. We'll be in touch, I'm sure. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.